Good afternoon everybody, welcome via the wonders of technology to what would have been our June 75 Club Farm Walk demo site. We're up here in North Norfolk. We've terra mapped 50 hectares or so. We've done some variable seed rate trials, and here we're in the beet fields at the moment, and we were just ground truthing what we'd found in the terra map. So we've walked into the field, and as you can just see behind me, we've got an area of droughted beet here. It's quite hot this afternoon, it's sort of 30 degrees, so the beet has been doing really well up until now. You can just start to see that it's just going off and wilting. So we've just decided to pop in and start digging some soil pits, because we just want to be sure that we found some variation, and now let's have an investigation as to what we're going to find. We're sort of doing a summary version of our Healthy Soils program, which is just sort of digging a surface pit with a spade, having a look at that, and then using the Dutch auger to go down far deeper into the soil, so we can get an idea of the subsoil. The advantage is it's relatively quick, so that we can get an idea as to what's going on. So let's go and have a look at our first pit over here. This is our first pit here, and we've dug it out, and you can see here we've got quite a nice taproot on our beet. It's getting down in towards the moisture. And we've got, what's also really interesting is we've got this, although we're very light, delicate soil on these sort of loamy sands, we've got a lot of aggregation around the roots there, the fibrous roots in the side. And we can also see that here we've got some worm activity in the surface layer in this clod here, and that just does nicely break up there. So all of these clods, the aggregation that we've got here is supported either by the worms or actually by some roots coming either from the crop, or it can be from a weed there. So it does show on these light soils, where we're going to struggle with the low levels of clay that we've got for real aggregation, the benefits of a growing crop or the benefits of a cover crop. So we have got some aggregation around there, which is really interesting. As we were saying, the taproot's gone down. One thing that is very noticeable as we get down into the soil pit, the sides of the soil are becoming increasingly unstable, and it's a very coarse sand. And you can see here, this is where we've gone down with our Dutch auger. So we've gone down 4 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches. By the time we get down here, we've got virtually no aggregation. It's a very coarse sand. There's the subsoil there. So what's pleasing about this is that one can be quite confident that we've identified the variation visually in the field. We've also confirmed that we're happy there's no deep compaction, though there is perhaps some mild settling in between the rows, with all the heavy rainfall events that we've had. But we've got decent root penetration in there, and due to this very coarse layer down at the bottom, with lower organic matter, lower water retention capacity, that's the reason why we've got the beet wilting in here. So it's quite an obvious point, but it's quite pleasing that it's all matching in, and we'll look at our terra map later on and see if that can tie in with an area of low organic matter and lower water holding capacity. We've just moved along to an area of better beet, and if you just look behind me now, you can see that just got a lovely nice stand of beet there. They're not wilting, it's sort of 28-29 degrees here, so they're clearly not suffering from drought stress. And we've just got our pit just over here, and we'll have a look at what the soil is doing in here.
Ready when you are.
Okay, so this is our second pit in the area of better beet. What's interesting, again, we've got some quite nice aggregation on the surface where we've got the roots we had in the other pit there. We've got nice deep root penetration with the taproot of the beet. But interestingly, as we get down here into the sort of 12, I suppose that's 12, 14 inches, we've got a lot more aggregation. We've got probably a lot more silt and clay and organic matter deeper down in the soil, and it goes right the way down to the bottom to the subsoil. And even it's dried off a bit now, but there's just a bit of sheen coming in there into the soil right at the bottom, which suggests a bit more clay in the bottom. So clearly here, this all the way through, we dug this out, this has been quite nice and moist. So there's obviously a direct link then between the better soil texture, retaining more moisture, and then obviously producing at the moment a better canopy. So what I think is really exciting about doing this is that now we've got the potential, now we're happy with our zones of organic matter and water holding capacity, we can actually take that information and then use it to project yield expectation forwards, spatially across the field, year on year. And some of the variables that we can look at in terra mapping on this block we found are actually quite consistent, but things like there's been quite a big variation across some of the blocks in organic matter in particular. That obviously has an impact on ultimate yield potential. We've just popped over and had a look at another area that took a bit of interest when we came into the field, and I think it really does show why these light soils are so vulnerable to compaction, and cultivations have to be done with a real attention to detail and and being aware of the weather and what the rain is doing. We've looked at an area of beet we're looking slightly poor, and we've got some quite good root penetration in the top here. Then at about 10-12 centimetres down we've got quite a hard sort of shelf, a pan running across there. This soil is all lovely and friable. This is really quite compacted, and it runs again about another 8 centimetres down, and then underneath here it's actually quite nice and friable. Although we have got some roots going through the pan, so again it's not completely impenetrable through them. The beet obviously here, there's a bit of fanging where the beet, although it does have a decent top to it there, obviously the taproot is starting to fang out as it can't get through. So again, it's attention to detail is key on all of these things, and everybody's got slight areas like this across the farm and the fields, and just really, a subsoiler, again about 20 centimetres deep, we'll pull that out with no problem. There's no need to go any deeper. So again, I'm always a great fan of actually going out, digging some holes and just finding exactly what depth we need to subsoil to, because very often on these sort of soils, it's not actually that deep, and it can be quite quick and quite cost effective. But Dick was quite happy because he's found a nice bit of compaction to talk about.